Welcome everyone to our 2023 Social Justice Build Impact Labs. I'm so excited about the lineup that we have for you today. I hope we have a lot of nonprofits who are excited to learn because we have some amazing lessons coming your way today. Denise Hanft, who joins us regularly to do her WordPress presentation on Beaver Builder 101, has had something come up last minute. She's not available to join us. So I'm going to direct y'all to the links on our YouTube from her previous presentations. If you have questions about WordPress, all the sites that you're receiving this weekend are being built in Beaver Builder. WordPress is where you're going to kind of need to get your chops in order to keep up with your website. So it's a really helpful video. We present it very often. There's several links on our YouTube, and we will share those with you directly. But for now, we have Amber Hines from Equalize Digital, Michelle Bourbonniere speaking on SEO, Sequoia Glenn, speaking on data insights and finding your audience. And we should have Stephanie Hudson from WP Focus also joining us. She's speaking on AI. I'm gonna pass it over to them. They're the experts. I'm gonna let Sequoia start. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Awesome. Well, thanks, y'all. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Sequoia Data Bay Glenn. If anybody wants to find me on LinkedIn, Aaron and I have something in common. When we talk in our Southern twang, it sounds like Glane. So we have that in common. But if you search Data Bay, you should be able to find me on LinkedIn. I am so excited to talk to y'all really quickly about data and insight. So I think actually the flow of everything is going to be great because we'll round it out with AI, and a lot of AI is aiding in certain things that I'll present today. So we're going to talk all about finding your audience, your target audience in particular, by following data. We'll start about, talking about what is a target audience, because everybody may not know exactly what that is, right? And then how to find them. We're going to look at a worksheet I developed. I usually give these to my clients, but I'm giving them to you today complimentary, so y'all can print them out and try it, and hit me up if you want to talk about it. And then what data is available. And if you stay to the end, I'm giving a little bit away at the end so we can make sure you get everything you need to know. So just a little bit more about me. I am a marketing agency founder here in Atlanta. For those that follow hip hop, I guess it's not Atlanta, it's actually Tucker, but the DMA is Atlanta. So I am here down the streets. I'm a senior marketing researcher. That's my jam, but work also in advertising as well as strategy. And I call myself a culture disruptor. So you might see me a little glammed up today because I'm actually at the BET Awards brunch, because I'm all about getting to the culture, staying hip to what's happening in the streets, right? And updating y'all in real time on LinkedIn by looking at how folks act the way they do, why do they act the way they do, as well as how do we ultimately capitalize on these audiences. So that's just me. All right, so let's get into it. So let's define very simply what a target market is. Most people that come to me, especially nonprofits or small businesses, I say, hey, well, who do you want to reach? And they say, everybody. And it's, yeah, okay, it's a fair answer. You do want to reach everybody. But at the end of the day, if your nonprofit is specifically for children with a particular type of cancer, you do want to get the donations from everybody, but you probably want to get donations from people that actually are passionate about those children with that type of cancer, so that you're reaching your actual target. That sounds a lot more efficient than just reaching everybody. What if everybody can't afford the donation? Do you want to spend money on trying to reach those people? No. What if those people don't have a way to pay you? Maybe you only accept digital currency, but you have people that want to pay cash because of whatever reason. Do you want to keep focusing and wasting money on those people that can't pay the way you want? No. So that's what we mean about a target. It's just like if you play darts and that little circle is in the middle, that little red part in the middle that says, boom, you got the big bucks. So a target market is the ideal customer or customers that you'd like your brand or organization to reach. It's that simple. There's a million marketing gurus, especially the influencers today, that'll come up with this long, super sophisticated definition. But this is really it. And y'all have an MBA. I think I know what I'm talking about. So trust me on that one, all right? But the key words here is that it's ideal and it's reach. So a target market is when you think about a goal and then a KPI. So if you want to reach the ideal people, you need to look at your goals and your KPIs. KPIs are key performance indicators, such as for nonprofits, the amount of donations, maybe the amount of memberships, how many times were you mentioned in the news, those types of things like that. So when we talk about thinking about, all right, I'm gonna take one simple example, because let's talk about money. We're in a bad economy and we all need to make this money for the nonprofit. So let's take, I want to grow our donations this year 10% over last year, because that's what makes sense to us. And we're going to measure that by looking at our sales data in HubSpot, for example. So we got to start drilling down on how to find people that are going to help you get that 10% and do it in the way that you need to track it. All right, so let's stay with that example. You can find those people by a lot of different free ways. Now, me, charge a lot of money for research to the corporations, but nonprofits, I try to help y'all out, because research is a science just as much as it is an art. But at the end of the day, small businesses, nonprofits, y'all are working with lean budgets, limited staff oftentimes, and just need to get work done. So I'm going to give you several ways you can find inexpensive data, often for free. And you can just start here, start somewhere, prove your concepts. And then as you get grants, you get angel investments, you get more donations, then you can hire a research firm. I'm not here to sell you research. I'm here to empower you to find the data that is at your fingertips. The public library is a huge resource. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. There are public libraries. When you have a public library card, you have access to the same databases that people like me would normally charge for. Now, those databases may not go as deep, but it gets you enough what you need to do to achieve the goals of your nonprofit. So step one, part A, public libraries are your best friends. All right, now we have social media data, okay? Social media data is your BFF, but only if you're on social media, honey. You can't get data for something that doesn't exist. So for those nonprofits on this call that have a good, consistent social media presence, go into the Insights tab and look at the data. The caveat with social media data, though, for those that don't have a dashboard of data. So if you're working with a marketing agency that's focused on data, you probably have some type of system you log into that says, here's all the ways your marketing is working for you. 9 times out of 10, small businesses and nonprofits don't have that. So if you're on social media and you're trying to analyze your data, oftentimes, especially with Meta, you got to get on your phone to do it. You can't do it by desktop. It's weird. I've been trying to reach the UX team. It's weird, but whatever. I won't go in on them today. But I say all that to say, whoever your social media manager is, have them go on their cell phone. You click that right little tab at your business page, and you will see all your insights. Follow the data. Social media data will tell you who is interacting with your data, at what times, what locations, what gender, and so much more. That way you can understand, is your content currently reaching, I want to reach all people, or is it really within your target market? So let's go back to the example. If your dues is $500 a year, your membership is $500 a year, you probably don't want to reach lower income people for the membership because they probably can't afford it. So maybe also you realize 500 is a little bit much because the other nonprofit is 300 or 200, 100 are free. So there's probably somebody a little bit older, post-college, that actually has a career. So that's adults 24 and up, right? Oh, but our nonprofit services the Black millennials of Atlanta who are trying to start businesses. So maybe let's drill that into adults 24 to 54, a little bit more affluent. Maybe they make $100,000 or more. And since it's in Atlanta, all right, we really want to hyper focus where those people live. They're in Midtown around the colleges and in really cool spaces, right? If your data doesn't say that on social media, say it says that you reach the majority of people that are 60 and up or under 24, you need to change your content to reach that audience that we just found out you need to get that 10% of funding. So I hope that makes sense. And y'all flood the chat with questions if I lose you, because we got a lot. Google or Adobe Analytics, enough said. If you have not converted your Universal Analytics or UA Analytics from Google, Don't know how? Let's talk, because you need to do it like now, because we are in GA4, which is the latest and greatest Google Analytics readout. Is really nice, but make sure you all are using GA4 or Adobe Analytics to track these beautiful websites that we've built here today. It tells you a lot about who's visiting the website, how they're engaging, and what they need. And then the last three are very quick. The U.S. Bureau of Labor, it lets you know different consumer expenditures. So if you're a soccer nonprofit, they can tell you how much people have spent on sports. If you are somebody trying to reach millennials, they'll tell you how many live where. Bureau of Labor, you can look at it from a national level, you can look at it from a state level, and all the way and drill down into your actual zip code. And guess what? You can access that either online for free or through your public library. For those that do have marketing budgets, Statista is amazing. They do give a little bit for free, but they do sometimes have a financial component that's usually less than like $3,000. But think about data. Data is currency. So if you make the investment into data that's a little more sophisticated, you can make a little more sophisticated inferences about how to actually be into your target audience and reach them. So Statista is amazing. And then lastly, it's me, marketing researchers, but I'm not going to talk about us because I already did, and it's about y'all. All right, so I said a lot. My mouth is dry. I need a little water, right? So I can only imagine how overwhelming this is for you. And when I started, it was overwhelming for me too. But remember, there are millions of data points out there. All you need is one to start, okay? So if you can't go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, just stick with A. Find one thing that'll change your organization's life. Stick to that. And when you have capacity to look at it again, or hire somebody, or just ask somebody, volunteers, then have them, everybody pick one data point. If everybody picks one data point on your team to find, put them all together and you can weave together a story and reach that target audience. Here are 7 different ways that I mentioned a couple of them earlier in the interest of time, but here are 7 different data points that are beneficial to nonprofits. I will read them out loud. Consumer expenditure, hashtags on social media, web traffic behavior, online search trends, trends.google.com. It'll save your life, I promise. Product sales, for those that have products, event sales and donations. Don't overwhelm yourself. Pick one of these things that you want to know, and then find one solid data point, and you can always, always, always go deeper. I tell people with research and data, never stop until you finish saying why. If you can keep asking why, you didn't dig deep enough, but you got to start somewhere. So start with the one and keep drilling down into the why. So one freebie today. This is a worksheet. You all will receive it at the end of 48 and 48. I'll make sure the team gives you the PDF. I encourage you to print this out. If you are an iPad user, you can use that with the pencil, but print out one worksheet per product and or brand. So if your organization has maybe 3 different levels to it, then you want 3 different sheets. And you'll go through this workshop to help you go from that big target, right? I want to reach everybody, to drill down into your actual target market that is willing and able to participate or buy your services or buy into your organization. So when you take the worksheet, you'll look at the left top half. You'll start with listing your product or brand and then your goals. After that, you'll look at the instructions and you will say, okay, I want to talk about all the people on the right-hand side in this large circle. I want to talk about all the people I wish I could reach. But then you look at this little key. Who would I like to buy? But then you drill down into the second ring. Who's able to buy? Then you drill down again. Why? Well, who influences the buy? Then you drill down again. Why? Well, who's willing to buy it? Then you drill into the middle. Who will buy? And you want those people to be repeatable. That's the trick. So you start on this outer ring. Most of my clients, it starts saying, I want my mama, my cousin, my sister, my brother, my pastor, everybody. But then when they say, well, who's able? Well, my mama on a fixed income, she can't do it. Pastor, he can't do it because it's a conflict of interest. So take those people out. Then you drill down and you drill down and you drill down and you drill down into who will buy, and preferably repeat. Once you get into that middle circle, you go back to the left side or the first page of the sheet, and then you think through in a sentence, who are they? So say it's moms. That sentence may look like, I want moms with children with cancer cancer to join my organization so that they feel supported. That's a sentence. That's my target. Moms with children with cancer. How do you intend to reach them? That's when you got to start thinking and looking at that data that I showed y'all. We know our social media is working for us in an ideal world, and we know that our LinkedIn is popping. All right, I intend to reach them on social media. I know that these moms are on Pinterest and TikTok, but then my LinkedIn is great. So maybe I'll reach them, the ones that are in corporate positions of power and influence. I'll reach them through LinkedIn to ask for corporate giving. Boom, now you know who the target audience is and how you intend to reach them. You can do this worksheet as many times as you need to. I use it in my own business about once a quarter, at minimum once a year, to make sure that my content, my business, my vibe, my energy, my brand reaches the right people at the right time. So have fun with that, y'all. The big things you need to know is make sure you think about, and just if you didn't hear anything else I said, these are the big things we talked about. Make sure you move from reaching everybody or want to reach everybody to wanting to reach the right people. Start with using free databases and your own data too. Find your target audience through that. It's always good to start free and then grow versus start really high, exhaust your budget, and then you have nowhere else to go. And then refine the audience as needed per product, goal, and event. If your product changes, if your service changes, if you have to lay off your whole entire team and you have a new team, you need to redo the worksheet, because all of those things make your marketing and your business much better. So y'all, my time is up. Again, I am Sequoia Data Bay Glenn. I've enjoyed this. I enjoy 48 and 48. Congratulations to everybody on this call. You all are doing amazing work. Thank you for having me here. And for those that want to think a little bit deeper, like, girl, you said a lot of stuff. I just need you to slow down. I am offering $50 off of consultations. Just grab that screenshot there at the QR code. And if you say, Sequoia, I still can't afford it, please hit me up. You are part of the 48 and 48 family, and I will always honor you guys as best as I can to make sure you find your target audience at the right time and at the right place. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Sequoia. We're going to go next to Michelle.
All right. Can you guys see my screen? I think so. Hello, I'm Michelle. Lovely to be here. And I'm here to talk about search engine optimization, which is so awesome after that last talk. Like, this is good. These are really going to go together really well. So I'm excited to be here. I'm an SEO editor, which is a little bit of a strange thing. I started out as an editor. I edit websites. And then I realized quite quickly that when you edit the words on websites, Google really notices. And so then I just went down the rabbit hole of SEO. So search engine optimization is what you're going to learn about today. And this is really, you have a new site and it's on the internet and Google is going to notice it. So I just want to put all these things on your radar so that you can kind of understand a little bit about how Google works and how you might make it work for you. So the goal here is just to get you to understand SEO, the basics of SEO as it pertains to nonprofits, basically so that you can decide whether this is for you or for not. A lot of people think that SEO is scary and that it's sort of very complicated and very technical. And really, truthfully, things have gotten a lot easier in the last 5 to 10 years as Google understands natural language so much better. So this is something that you can do on your website now that you have one, and really help you connect with that target market that you just identified in the last presentation. So what is search engine optimization? Like I said, a lot of people kind of think it's page speed and it's code and it's really technical stuff. But truthfully, search engine optimization is just creating a website that Google understands so that it can send the right people to your site at the right time. So it's just making a Google-friendly site. And the cool thing about it, and this is where I came at it as an editor, is that many of the things that you're going to do to your site to make it good for your users are also going to be really good for Google understanding your site better. So pursuing search engine optimization is actually quite a good way to start thinking about your website in a different way about how can we be most helpful. And many of those things are also going to bring you more Google traffic. So how does the internet work? Keywords. So on some level, we kind of all know about Google because we all use it every day. And so a keyword is quite literally the words that people are typing into the Google search box. I have an asterisk here because as you notice, most of the time we're putting in more than one word. So the industry talks about it as a keyword, but most of the time they're actually key phrases. You know, we're kind of these weird grammatical things that we put in there, trying to sort of get out of Google what it is that we're looking for. So I'm going to read this list of keywords to you, and I want you to think about two things. I want you to first think, what is the question behind this keyword? Like, what does this person really want? What's the desire that this somewhat random select phrase is expressing? And these are real keywords that I found in a database. So what does this person want is the first question I want you to think about. And number two is, who is doing this searching? Like, what type of person is doing this searching? And then as you're doing this for your nonprofit, you're going to want to think about, is that the type of person that we want on our site? Is that the type of person that's in our target market that we're trying to reach? So I'll read these aloud. World Wildlife Fund, WWF. Are pandas endangered? Why are pandas endangered? Panda habitats. Donate WWF. How many pandas left? Donate Conservation.org. Environmental internships, DC. So this is a somewhat unordered list of keywords, the types of things that people are putting into the Google search box. But there's a couple ways that we can sort them. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 buckets of keywords. So this is one way of categorizing keywords, so you can start making sense of what would seem to be a very unordered list. So number 1 is navigational keywords, also called branded keywords. So quite a lot of the time when people are using Google, they're looking for something very specific. Like they're looking for an actual company that they've already heard of. They're already looking for your nonprofit. So then somebody types in World Wildlife Fund, they're going to get the World Wildlife Fund. They're just using Google, in this case, like a phone book. What's also interesting is that people type acronyms all the time in Google because we're very lazy typers when it all comes down to it. So somebody else might be searching just WWF. And what's interesting here is that without context, it's really hard to know whether this person is looking, Google can't know whether this person is looking for the World Wildlife Fund or whether they're looking for the Wrestling Federation. So it's kind of fun. You can check it out yourself. If you are to type in just WWF, you're going to get both results. And then it's a little bit like choose your own adventure. Like Google only knows what you want after you've chosen one or the other. To be very clear, now that you have a new website on the internet, Google will find it, Google will index it, you will be part of Google very soon. So within about 2 to 6 months, you should expect that your new website comes up for your branded navigational keywords, probably in position number 1, no matter what you do. So if all you're interested in is making sure that people can find your new website online, you basically don't need to do anything. That happens automatically. The only exception is if you happen to have a brand name, if your nonprofit has a name that is easily confused with a search keyword, that can cause some problems. So if your nonprofit gives shoes to kids and your nonprofit is called New Shoes, well, that's going to be a problem because most people that search new shoes are looking to buy new shoes online. So with that sort of edge case out of the way, basically you can expect to come up for all of your navigational keywords automatically. And you don't need to do SEO in order to make that happen for you. The next one is a little bit more interesting. These are transactional keywords. So these are all the ways that we use Google to do stuff online. So donate to WWF. Conservation.org donate, or environmental internships DC all fall into this transactional keywords. Donate to WWF, the World Wildlife Fund will assuredly get that traffic. Ideally, you would want like your donate page to come up as the number 1 result and not like the homepage, but at least the homepage would come up because the WWF is there. More interesting is something like Conservation.org donate. So now think about the person who would be typing that in. We know that they're interested in conservation causes. They're looking for an organization to donate to. They've got money burning a hole in their pocket, and they haven't decided what Conservation.org they're going to donate to yet. So this could be potentially a very valuable keyword. Like if you could get in the top couple results for Conservation.org donate, you might get donations from people who you've never met before, but saw your website, think it's great, and are now ready to donate. And then I put here environmental internships DC, because of course, not all the time are we doing, donations or buying things online. Also, people are applying for things. So if you are in DC and you are running an environmental internship, you might say, hey, we should have a page for that on our website so that Google knows to send that traffic to us, and you're going to get more and better applications. So just to think of transactional keywords, it's not necessarily just donations and things that involve money. It's all of like sign the petition, sign up for our, sign up for a newsletter, like all of these things that we do online. Are quite significant for nonprofits. And you can think about ways that you can build your site and have pages on your site that speak to the different things that people would probably be doing with you. Then we have the third bucket. And really, this is most of the internet. Most of the time when we use Google, we're actually looking for information. So informational keywords is the third bucket that I'm introducing here. And the ones that would fall underneath that category are pandas endangered? Why are pandas endangered? Panda habitats, and how many pandas left? Now, why would you even be interested in informational keywords? Well, for one, many of your organizations probably have like an educational mission on some level. That's probably part of what you do. And the internet is a place where a lot of people get information. So it can be quite significant to build out an informational section of your website so that you really are fulfilling that mission. And these first two keywords, you probably could address both of those on the same page. So are pandas endangered, and why are pandas endangered? It's hard to imagine a page on your site for each one of those. Like those could easily be brought together because they're really kind of different angles on the same question. The third one, though, probably needs its own page on your site, panda habitats. So if I was working with somebody who wanted to rank for panda habitats, I'd probably recommend that they start the page really satisfying the people who just typed in panda habitats. So they want maps, they want pictures of the habitats, they probably want to know where the pandas live. And then once you've sort of satisfied what they came to you for, you've taught them about panda habitats, then you can move into your mission. So they're not actually asking about why are pandas endangered, but that might be what your organization does. So then after kind of talking about the panda habitats, then you move into sort of like your educational mission and like helping people to understand why panda habitats are so important. The last one I put here, because as an SEO, I see this how many, and I go ding, 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 because Google does not have a sense of humor. And there is quite literally no way to rank well for a question like how many pandas left without actually providing a number. So if you were trying to go after this particular keyword, you would need to have a sentence in there that said something like, there used to be 3,000 pandas in the wild, but then this happened, and now scientists say that there's only 2,000 left. And then there'll be like some sort of citation. So that's the kind of content that Google is looking for. Like they're looking for expert opinions, they're looking for citations, and in this particular case, they're looking for numbers. So if you danced around it and never provided a number, then it probably won't work. So anyways, that's some of how you can make informational content on the internet. So how do you find these keywords? Well, there are many ways to find these keywords. You can just Google keyword research, and there's lots of free tools that you can use to start understanding what words other people are putting into the Google search box. Of course, you can also hire people to do keyword research for you. But the first step really is signing up for Google Search Console. So it's super simple. It's a dashboard that Google provides to site owners like you about how your website is showing up in search. Like what keywords are people typing right before they got to your website? And you can get this information through Google Search Console. So it's really easy to set up. It's practically one click. I don't have time to show you now, but I do have a free course for this. So if you go over to editedbymichelle.com/keywords course sign up, and we'll share that link. It's 7 short little lessons. It shows you how to set up Google Search Console, and then also some like tips and tricks on how to use it to find these keywords, and even a little bit how to use it to rank higher for the keywords that you are currently coming up for. So that's always fun. Now, so far, everything that we've talked about is what's called on-site SEO. So on-site is all the stuff you do on your site to make it rank better in Google. But of course, you're not the only website on the internet. So the internet is actually a community. It's the World Wide Web. And the web part of the World Wide Web is links. Links from one website to another website is how the internet is structured. And so while you want to focus on your on-site and making sure that your pages are really understandable to Google and that they really help out your users and really like are focused on keywords that are going to connect you with that target audience that you want on your site. Offsite SEO is kind of all of the ways that you can build authority online to sort of become a more important website. So the web is made of links, and links from other reputable sites to your site boost your website's authority. So I'm quite literally talking about hyperlinks. Like when the New York Times links to your website, that is a huge vote of confidence. That is a huge vote of confidence because the New York Times is a very reputable and important site on the internet. And if they link to you, that's awesome. And in the SEO jargon, this is called a backlink. So it's called a backlink because they're linking back to you. So I just want to give you a list of ways that you might be able to build backlinks to your new site so that you're part of this World Wide Web community and that you sort of get more and more authority. Sort of your website becomes more important on the internet. And the reason why this is so important is if we remember the keyword like conservation org donate, well, that's like a really valuable keyword. If you can get in the top 10 results for conservation org donate, that's awesome. So you're not the only website, of course, that would want to rank for that. And so to put it most simply, the more and the better links you have from other websites on the internet gives you a better chance of ranking in the top 10 results for something like conservation org donate. So it's typically the more competitive keywords like that one are typically bigger websites, sort of more important websites. So that's why building links to your website can be very valuable. And because you have a new website, especially if it's a new domain, then this is just part of getting your website out in the world. How can you get links? I mean, you can hire SEO companies to do these types of things for you. One thing you should never do is pay for links. So like it actually goes against Google's terms of service. There's a lot of shady ways to get links on the internet. And I'm going to give you a list of ways that are absolutely not shady, that are just good things that you could be doing. And I think it's really important to tell new website owners about this because most people don't know that this is how the internet works. And because many of these links are likely going to come from everyday networking type things that you're doing as an organization anyway. So I just want to put it in your head that, oh, like, how can we get a link out of that partnership that we have, for example? So here's a short list of ways that nonprofits can get links. So the number one is you write really great content online that people actually want to link to. I mean, this is really the holy grail, right? So things like statistics, people almost have to link to you if you're the source of a statistic online. White papers, research, original research, just really, really helpful stuff that like is better than anything else out there can really garner links from websites that you've never met. When somebody finds your website really helpful, they want to link to you. Another one is media coverage, including your local media. So like if you're doing, sending out those press releases, even to your local media can be really significant. And there is a geographical component to search engine optimization. So if your organization is really geographically focused in a particular area, it's super worth it to reach out to the local newspapers and tell them about what you're doing and get some coverage. That link that's likely to come with the coverage is going to be really important for you. Another one is links from allied organizations or referral partners. So this is where, say you're a women's shelter, and often a women's shelter works with a lot of different other nonprofits in the city. And you're often like, a lot of people work together, a lot of organizations work together to help one person. So you can kind of think about all of these referral partners as potential link partners as well. So you could have a page on your website that's like community resources, and you list out all of the trusted organizations that you regularly work with. And then ideally, they also would have such a page on their website. And these links between the two websites really can help Google understand really the links that are in real life that you have between these organizations. And then, of course, it's also just really helpful for the people that are using your website because all of the links are there and they can self-serve and find what they need exactly when they need it. So this is a good example of where building out something that really is going to help your SEO, like a community resources page with a lot of links, is also just genuinely helpful for the people that you serve. Another one is grants and awards. So as you're applying to grants, I mean, getting grants and awards is lovely just because, but you might probably get a link from the granting organization to your website. That can really help your authority. Another one is events, like join the parade, go to the industry events in your industry, have a table at the next big event. That can often get you a link. Another one is professional associations. So the people in your organization really should be part of their appropriate professional association. And there's often a directory involved with that. So they can link back to the homepage. Or you might consider having pages on your website for each of the main sort of board members or the people who, work full time at your organization. Maybe they have a page on your site that shows, their bio and how they're involved in your organization. And then that gives them a place to link back to when they're doing things in the professional association or really just anywhere. Another one is reputable online directories with an emphasis on reputable. So there are a lot of scammy directories out there. So if there's anything that's industry specific, it's almost assuredly a good directory. But submitting your organization to directories online can be a good way to get a link. And just think the best way to figure out what's reputable and what's not reputable is just ask yourself, like, is this something I would use? Like this, does this look genuinely helpful? Like a thing that people are actually using on the internet? Or does this just kind of look like a random collection of businesses and they're asking me for money? If that is the case, then don't bother. Nothing bad will happen if you submit it to a less reputable directory, but it will be a waste of time. So don't worry too much about that, but online directories can be good. Another one is expert guest articles. So this is another way that you can link with and for your allied organizations. Like if there's something that you're an expert in as an organization, it makes sense for you to be offering a blog post article for another organization that, you're writing to their audience about something that you're expert in. And then naturally there would be a link kind of in the bio or something back to the sponsoring organization. The last one's really interesting because you probably never heard of it. And it's called Help a Reporter Out. And what this is it's a listserv of reporters. And so 3 times a day, they send out a huge list of reporter questions. And it's like New York Times, like Forbes, like really big organizations, as well as smaller organizations. And basically it's reporters that are asking questions that you probably are very well placed to answer. And so you really just need to respond to the question with like a really short, like 1 paragraph response, like a direct answer to the direct question. And some tricks for making it work is respond really quickly. So like within an hour is ideal because you want to be at the top of that reporter's email box. And the other one is if you can provide like firsthand information that they could not find by Googling, like you have a tiny story, you have a quote that's really like quotable, or you have a stat or those types of things, reporters love that. So Help a Reporter Out can be a way for free to get links from pretty major websites. It's a really good opportunity. Anyone can sign up. You are a source is what you need to sign up as. And if you Google Help a Reporter Out for SEO, you'll find some nice lists of tips of like how to make the most out of Help a Reporter Out for SEO. So that is that. So we've done all the things you can do on your site to improve your visibility online and all the things off your site, all of these backlinks, and then you're on your way. So I'm Michelle. These are the things that I do. I do keyword research and I only work on small sites. So I specialize in small site SEO and you can find me at my website here, and I do free consults. So at any point, if you would like to get in touch, I'd love to chat with you. Thanks so much and best of luck with your new website and your rankings.
Thanks so much, Michelle. You do have some questions a question in the chat too.
Sure.
So whenever you get a chance, if you want to chat back or if you want to answer now. But
How,
go ahead.
That's interesting. I can actually answer this right now. So do links from your site to other sites have any SEO impact? Yes. Well, they certainly have an SEO impact on the other person's site. So it's helping them out when you link to another website. But it's not really like a zero-sum game. So it's not like they cancel each other out. It's not like you're really giving them anything and you're giving it away. I always just encourage people to link naturally. So go ahead and like, if you really do want to vouch for another organization, go ahead and link. The only thing you wouldn't want to do is link to organizations that you don't want to vouch for. But that doesn't rarely happen. But yeah, having a natural, it's called in the jargon, it's called a natural link profile. So like just link when you would naturally link and help out people by pointing them in the direction of really reputable sources online. And that will help your SEO. It doesn't really help your authority, but it can help Google trust your site a little bit more because you're showing how expert you are because you know the places where you should be linking to. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much, Michelle. Really appreciate it. We're going to move on to Amber here.
Hi, well, welcome. I'm going to be talking a little bit about how you can make your nonprofit website more accessible and inclusive, which I think it works perfectly with being part of a social justice event. So if you haven't heard of website accessibility, which I'm sure several people here haven't, the simple definition is that an accessible website is one that can be used by everyone, people of all abilities and disabilities, using a variety of devices and assistive technology. And I have on the screen here on my slides a grid of about 20 different people. There are people who have limb differences, people who are wearing hearing aids, people who are blind and are listening to their phone, people who are elderly, people who maybe have a disability like Down syndrome, or other physical mobility challenges. It's a huge group of people. What this specifically looks like when we talk about who accessibility helps and who you can reach better if you improve the accessibility of your website is people who are blind and visually impaired, deaf and hard of hearing people, people with cognitive disabilities, people who are unable to use a traditional keyboard and mouse. They might have mobility challenges, or maybe they can't use a mouse because they can't see where the mouse is pointing. People with seizure disorders. And then there's a whole group of people who probably don't consider themselves to be disabled. So language learners, people using translation tools can benefit from accessibility features on websites. The elderly and less tech savvy people who may not even be elderly. There are plenty of people in their 20s or 30s who are not very tech savvy, and they also will benefit. People on mobile devices or slow connections benefit from accessibility features, and then people with temporary or situational limitations as well. So a great example of this is people who, let's say you're riding on the train from your job in New York City, home, you don't have your earbuds with you, but you really want to watch a video. If that video has captions, you're going to be able to watch it. If it doesn't, you're probably not, because you don't want to bother everyone around you. So that's what we would consider a situational limitation. An example of a temporary limitation would be if I were to be in an accident and I were to break my arm or my hand and be unable to use a mouse for a short period of time and have to rely on the keyboard only. But then once I healed, I could go back to how I typically engage with the web. So it's a very large group of people. A question that nonprofits always ask is, am I required to do this? So there's a lot of benefits to reaching all of those people, but there are also laws that require you to do that. And there are two laws in the United States that apply to nonprofit organizations. The first one is the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. And specifically within this law is Section 504, which says that no otherwise qualified individual with a disability in the United States shall, solely by reason of his or her disability, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So if your nonprofit organization receives any grants from the federal government, or any grants from entities that get their grant funding in order to give those out from the federal government, then this would apply to you. The other law that applies much more broadly to all nonprofit and also for-profit businesses is the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is commonly called the ADA. And there's two titles under this. Title II says that communications with persons with disabilities must be, quote, as effective as communications with others. And Title III says that businesses and nonprofits must provide people with disabilities an equal opportunity to access the goods or services that they offer to the public. You can learn more about this at ada.gov, and there's also information about the Rehabilitation Act websites for that. But the short of it is that if you are a nonprofit in the United States, even a very small nonprofit organization, it doesn't matter if your annual budget is $50,000 and that's all you make, or much smaller, you are required to have an accessible website by law in the United States. So what does this look like in practice? I know we don't have enough time to go super deep into this because it's very layered, and I know most of you are not developers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by talking about some easy ways that you can improve accessibility on your website. So first of all, in design, a few things that can be very helpful is, first of all, making good color choices. So you want to check for appropriate color contrast. You'll notice I have an underlined link on this slide. I'm going to post a link to my slides in the chat afterwards so that you will have those available. That goes out to a color contrast checking tool that's very easy to use, and it will give you a grade and a pass or a fail. And really ensuring that you have good contrast between the text on your website and the background color is important. You also want to consider color blindness. Males especially, it's very common, and a large percent of our population can't differentiate, for example, between red and green. So you want to make sure that if you're doing a bar chart that shows how you helped the community, or a pie chart that shows how you are using the funding that you're giving, say in an annual report, that those pie charts can be seen even if somebody cannot distinguish between the different colors in the chart. And so that sort of leads us to don't use color alone. And a really great example of this on websites beyond, the charts and graphs is we always want to make sure our links, especially in body or regular content, have an underline that is visible on them. We can't just say, well, links are always red on our website. That doesn't work, because if someone can't see red, then they can't tell that there's a link there, and they wouldn't even know that they could click and follow it. Another thing in design is choosing really readable fonts. You want to choose things where it's obvious that you can tell the difference between for example, a number 1, a lowercase l, and a capital I. There's other things that we could get into. If you want to ask any questions at the end, I think there'll be time for Q&A. But really choosing readable fonts that makes it easy for somebody who maybe has dyslexia or low vision to distinguish between the letters. When you're designing forms on your website and putting them in with a form builder, you always want to have a label that is visible above the fields on the form. So if it has name, you don't just want to have name inside that field. You want to have it above so that even when someone types in, they can see that that's where their name goes. And then you want to avoid doing all capital letters. Type things in sentence case is most ideal. If you need to use title case for headings, that's fine, but don't do all caps. As you're adding your content, some things that really can actually make a very big difference just come in the content, and they don't require a developer. So thinking about your links and making sure they're not ambiguous, that they actually have meaning outside of context. So highlighting the word learn more or click here as an example, those mean nothing. Click here doesn't tell me where this link goes. So for someone on a screen reader who's blind, they have the ability to just hear all the links on a page and then follow one. It's a way that they can skim, like we might skim to quickly find something on a website and then go forward with it. But if they're hearing in the list of links, click here, learn more, they have no idea what those links mean. So that can really make a huge difference to someone who is a screen reader user. You really want to use headings in the correct order. So it's important to understand that there should only be one heading 1 on a page. And then from there, you can add additional heading 2s. Heading 3s belong under heading 2s, heading 4s go under heading 3s. As if you're building an outline, think back to college or high school when you had to write a paper and it had to have a proper outline format. That is exactly how your website content needs to add. So don't choose the heading because of the color it is, the size it is, the font it is. That's not what the number is about. You need to choose the correct number to match the correct format and structure of your document or your web page. You need to add alternative text to describe images. This is really easy to do in Beaver Builder and WordPress. Provide text alternatives. Things like if you have that graph we were talking about, that's a pie chart that shows how you use your funding in your annual report, also have a table below the pie chart. So if somebody can't get that information off the image, they could get it off of a table. You want to have transcripts for podcasts. You want to accurately caption videos. This is important. Don't have anything that automatically plays. If you really want to have a video or sound that automatically plays, videos have to have a pause button so they can be stopped if they are longer. Anything that automatically plays for longer than 5 seconds. Sound has to have it if it automatically plays for longer than 3 seconds. So ideally have nothing that automatically plays. If it does, it needs to have an easy to get to pause button. And I say this, we're talking about websites, but a lot of nonprofits rely on PDFs. Avoid PDFs. If you do need to use a PDF, you can, but PDFs also have to be accessible by law. They need to be just accessible as a website, and all the website accessibility guidelines apply to them. And I'm going to tell you, it is more difficult to make a PDF accessible than a web page. So instead of creating that PDF annual report, make it a blog post on your blog and put all that content in there. It will be much easier and cheaper for you to share that same information on a web page or a blog post than it would be in a PDF format. There's a whole bunch of other things I don't have time to get into. If you want to message me, I can send you, we have a, what we call our Shift Left with Accessibility Checklist that has a giant list of things. So reach out to me, I can send that to you. I do want to take a moment to talk about accessibility in Beaver Builder, because that's how all of your websites are going to be built. You can build an accessible website with Beaver Builder. And I know I've had some conversations with Robbie, who's one of the co-founders of Beaver Builder. I know that accessibility is something they are working to improve. But I've highlighted on the screen, you really need to be cautious about which modules you use. So when you get that website handed off to you and you're adding new content to pages or adjusting things in the future, don't assume that every module in Beaver Builder is going to result in an accessible experience for your users. For example, and this is including but not limited to, there are accessibility problems in the accordions, the tabs, the carousels, the forms, and a lot of the elements in Beaver Builder. So anything you decide to use, you want to test and rely most heavily on the more basic elements of Beaver Builder if you can. If you want to use something like the accordions, it doesn't mean that you can't, but it might need to be fixed or remediated by a developer, or maybe you could reach out to Beaver Builder for support. When I talk about testing things, what does that mean? You may have no idea. The basic website testing process, if you wanted to know, is my website accessible? Am I meeting my legal requirements for accessibility? First is run an automated bulk scanning tool. We have a accessibility checker plugin that is free on WordPress.org, or you can use a single page scanner like Wave. Both of these are linked in the slides, and that will check your website and give you some obvious accessibility problems. It's important to know that automated tools can't find everything, so you also need to manually test some pages, or maybe every page or representative sample of pages, like your home page, archives, singles, and by which that I mean like your main blog archive and like an individual blog post. Any pages that have special features, like we talked about, forms, accordions, carousels, those things. And then a bonus would be to bring in screen reader users or other users with disabilities for user testing. So if you use our tool, for example, what is really helpful about that is it can add reports into your WordPress dashboard. It can put them available on the front end when you do a preview or you view a page. And it's really important to add this accessibility checking in as you're editing your content. I encourage a lot of people to think about this as in the same way that you would as SEO. You want to catch the problems as you're working on the content on your website or adding new blog posts to your website, so you don't have to go back and fix them later. It is an ongoing practice, but trying to catch things earlier will save you time, which then means it's saving you money, or it's saving you volunteer hours, so that you can have people, instead of having to spend a bunch of time later on fixing that website, you can have them volunteers spending time on your mission instead. I talked about manually testing. What does that mean? And I'm flying through this, so I know there's questions and I'm happy to answer them now or later, but the short gist of manually testing is you want to be able to use the desktop version of your website with only your keyboard. Take your mouse, put it away, figure out if you can do everything on your website with only your keyboard. Then you want to zoom your website at least 200%, maybe even 400%, and also use it with only your keyboard. At this point, you're going to encounter the mobile navigation menu. So you want to make sure your mobile menu works only with a keyboard and without a mouse. This is important because people who are low vision will probably be visiting your website and using it at a very zoomed in level. In an ideal world, you turn on a screen reader. We don't really have time to talk about that today, but you could also use a screen reader to test. And then on actual mobile devices, you want to check the tap sizes. And what do I mean by that is how big are your buttons? Is it easy for someone with a very large finger to hit those buttons? That's important. Or maybe somebody who has arthritis and, or someone who has Parkinson's and maybe they shake or tremor. You want them to be able to engage with your website as well. So what happens if you don't know how to fix issues? Because I can almost guarantee if the website hasn't been built with accessibility in mind, there may be things that you'll encounter when you're doing it. There are some plugins and tools that might help you to resolve some issues. You can ask for support in an accessibility focused group or Slack. I actually have a screenshot up here from the WordPress accessibility Facebook group where I asked a question specific to Beaver Builder. I will say the issue in this item about adding role equals buttons to all of their links, this has actually been fixed. Beaver Builder recently fixed this after they got some feedback from me, which I think is awesome. So you don't have to worry about this problem. It doesn't exist anymore. But I went and asked about it in the group and I was like, does anyone have code for this? Because I was thinking, I don't know. I'm not a developer. I can't code that. And a couple of people chimed in and someone's like, wow, here's a fix, here's the code for you. So there are some really helpful groups out there, whether they're on Facebook or Slack. And then of course, you can always hire a developer or a company that's first in accessibility. A big thing I want to caution people on, do not fall for the accessibility overlays. There are a number of these. If you go search accessibility in WordPress.org, you're going to see things like Accessiby, Userway, some other companies as well. Overlays can cause accessibility issues on websites, especially for screen reader users. They force people to learn new tools instead of the tools that they know and use already. Some of them will promise you or say that it's going to help you not to get sued under the ADA or under your legal requirements, but that's not actually the case. A good portion, I think last year, about a third of the cases in the United States, lawsuits were against organizations that were already using accessibility overlay. And when they settle, part of the settlement is they agree to remove the overlay and fix the website the right way. So you really, it's just going to be a monthly SaaS subscription that you're paying for that is not going to be able to deliver on results. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to overlayfactsheet.com. I know I flew through information. If you have additional questions, I'm happy to answer them either in the chat or you can email me at amber@equalizedigital.com. I'm also pretty active on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @HeyAmberHines. If you want to keep learning, I run the WordPress Accessibility Meetup. It is a free meetup that happens via Zoom with live captions twice a month. And I have links to that in the slide. And I'll also share a link to the WordPress Accessibility Facebook group as a great place to get some help. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Amber. We're going to go to Stephanie now.
What's up, you guys? I'm excited to be here. You guys who are out there, all of you amazing nonprofits, let me just tell you, I'm in the industry. I'm a marketer, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but like you have gotten some gold here today. I happen to know Amber and Michelle from before, and I hope I get to know Sequoia after. And these ladies know their stuff. So I've got some big shoes to fill here as I present my talk. Let me get my slide deck up here. The title of my talk is, as you can see here, using AI for your nonprofit. And I don't know if you've probably been hearing some buzz about AI recently. Are you curious? Are you scared? What are you thinking about it? Maybe you don't even have a clue what it means. I'm here to help explain it just a little bit, demystify it. Artificial intelligence, we've got a definition here. It basically refers to machines that can do things that we usually associate with human minds. So there's a lot of applications for that in business, like automating repetitive tasks, analyzing big amounts of data, predicting outcomes, but it can also generate content. And that's the one that we're going to kind of focus on today. 15 minutes is not much time at all to teach you how to use AI in your business. So my plan for today is to give you a basic primer, and then I'm going to teach you one really powerful tactic that you guys can leave here with today and replicate on your own. Okay, first up, why do you need to listen to me? My name is Stephanie Hudson. I'm a web developer, a marketer, an agency owner, I coach agency owners. I'm a podcast host, and I'm basically just a geek. I am affiliated with an AI tool called Bertha AI. The link is there in the middle, which we're going to talk a little bit more about. You may have already heard about Bertha because they have been hanging out with the 48 and 48 crew. Bertha has some good discounts. We got a coupon code for you guys, and I believe it's already enabled on your websites for generating content. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I also have recently started a newsletter that's about to be a podcast about AI called The Sizzle. And it's specifically for helping people who are not real techie to understand it. I do the podcast with my dad, which is fun. So, because he's not a super geek like me. So anyway, you can go to The Sizzle AI. So that's me. I'm Steph. And so now on to how you can use AI in your business. Again, you're probably a little intimidated by all these things, but you know, there's actually some things you're already using AI for in your day-to-day life. So if you have an Alexa at home, or if you use Siri on your iPhone, things like that, that's using AI to understand what you're asking and to formulate a response to you. Apple Photos, Google Photos, have you ever had them say like, is this you? And it's like a picture of you as an infant. That's AI that's categorizing those things. Amazon is going to recommend things to you. Netflix, all the streaming services are using AI to figure out what you might want to watch next. Even Gmail for years and years has been using AI to filter spam, to suggest email responses to you. I don't know if you've used the tool called Grammarly to help fix our horrible typing, because we've all lost the ability to spell and use grammar. And some interesting ones like Facebook uses AI to check for signs of depression or even suicidal thoughts in people's posts. And Instagram uses AI to suggest filters or hashtags, things like that. I mean, these are some very basic examples of tools that you're using all the time, just to give you the sense that this isn't a totally off the wall thing that is brand new. There's just some new tools that have been made available to us based on some new technology developments. So I mentioned before, we're going to talk today about generative AI. And most of the tools that are getting buzz recently are this. They're generative AI tools because they generate or produce stuff. So these tools can help with tons of different types of content creation. So they can generate text, as you can see in this list here. They can generate or edit images. And then if you're thinking about the text that it's generating, it's not just the words, but you can actually ask it to help you with things like strategy, like coming up with a marketing plan or scheduling, how to figure out how to talk to who's your ideal customer, even all these kind of things that can be super useful in your business. And as it's creating these things, images, of course, are one thing, but the text, you can actually have it write in your tone of voice or in a style that you want to come across with. So you can even improve the way you typically write. So the tools that are available for us to do this, there are thousands of them at this point. But for the past 6 or 7 months, this has sort of been a growing trend. Some of the big ones, the main ones, the one you've probably heard about is ChatGPT. That's by a company called OpenAI. Bing is the one that's owned by Microsoft, of course, and they have their Bing search, and now they've got an AI assistant right built into their Bing search tool. And Google, of course, has its own. It can't be left out. And theirs is called Bard. Now, all of these have different features, functionalities, strengths, and weaknesses. But again, OpenAI's ChatGPT is one of the most popular. In fact, a lot of folks have taken that, the ChatGPT API, it's called, which is the code that lets you utilize that engine, and they've built their own tools right from it. This is where we see Bertha AI. Again, we're going to come back to. You may have heard of Copy AI, Jarvis, WordTune, Writer. These are some that I've tried all of these. They're all excellent tools. And I wanted to take a quick moment here to have a word about privacy. So most of these things, the ones at the top, you can use for free. They also do have premium tiers, and the ones at the bottom sometimes have a free level, but most of them you have to pay for. So it could be easy to think like, oh, I want to just use the free tools because of budgets and everything else. But the thing about ChatGPT is that there's a privacy policy that you need to pay attention to, particularly if you are using this for your business. If you're going to go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate a vegan recipe for you, or create your shopping list, or do things like that, that's fine. But if you're going to put in proprietary information or your own intellectual property, OpenAI will then own that information. And furthermore, it can use it to train itself. And so technically, if other folks down the road ask similar questions or related questions, they can receive information that came from you, but not directly from you. So it's a little confusing, but it's basically, you want to use caution and don't put in anything into ChatGPT that you wouldn't want to just broadcast publicly. The OpenAI API tools have a different privacy standard set on them. They do track the things that you put in there, but they keep it for a limited time. Many of them are only 30 days. And it's specifically stated in most of their privacy policies that it's just used to flag for abuse. If there were any kind of violent or hate crimes or things like that that are put in there that would get flagged, that's why it's not actually keeping that data and using it to train these computer models. So that's just a quick little tip that I think is a lot of folks don't know about. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our pal Bertha today. Again, this is a tool that you guys have access to. And I've got a little video here. I was thinking about doing it live, but I decided to just record a video because we are on such short time. So I'm going to run through this and show you how you can use it. So you could see right here, we're logged into the dashboard. This is similar to what the dashboard of your new website will look like. And if Bertha is installed, which if it's not, it can be, you could see there's Bertha showing up on the upper corner that you can click on. But what we're going to do is go over into the main menu over there and click Bertha Chat. And we're going to go into the chat. And what we're going to do today is, I should pause this and explain. The one thing I thought we could do, I was racking my brain before this talk. I thought, how can I show you guys a practical thing that you can use AI to do that would benefit everybody who's listening to this talk right now? And I thought, well, what is the one thing that every nonprofit has in common? They all need donations, right? You need to do fundraising because you need support from the public or from a donor base of whatever it is. So I thought, well, why don't we use AI to generate a fundraising email? And so that's what we're going to do here right within the Bertha chat. So once you open this up, you can see it's just a regular chat box like you would see anywhere in your texting. So I put in, you're a fundraising expert for a nonprofit organization. I need help writing a fundraising email. Please provide a list of what information you need in order to write this email for me. And Bertha is responding. She's giving me a list of what she would need in order to create this email for me. Now, there's something that you want to make sure that you pay attention to here, and that is that I didn't just say, write me an email. I asked Bertha what she needs in order to be able to do this for me. So that's a first tip, okay? And then I'm going to paste in, I went and generated a dummy nonprofit organization, and I pasted that information all in here. You would just enter in, obviously, your exact answers to these questions. And the questions may be different times you ask the AIs or which AI you use. So it came up. So I pasted this in. This is my fake nonprofit is called Health for All. and it provides quality healthcare for underserved communities. So here's my email. I hope this finds you well as a valued supporter. Unfortunately, millions of people around the world still lack access to quality medical care. It's explaining the cause to them. It's tugging on the heartstrings. It's showing the goal, which is to raise $75,000 by the certain date. This is complete fabrication at this point. And then you may have noticed, I don't know if you saw when it was scrolling through there, that it mentioned Maria, who is going to show up again here. But Maria really appreciated the work of this charity. Maria doesn't exist, you guys. So when you're using AIs, they do a thing that is referred to as hallucinating, where they will just make things up. Now, in this case, I specifically asked it to make up a scenario, so that's understandable. But just use caution. If it states like statistics or gives examples or gives people's testimonials or things like that, please, please, please remember to fact check and verify before you send that out publicly, because that could result in some pretty big embarrassment if you're putting out inaccurate things that were just invented. So here's another little trick. We already have an email here. I mean, that took what, a minute? So now I said, please write another version that's persuasive and, oh shoot, I can't remember what I called it. Persuasive and conveys a sense of urgency for this important cause. Okay, so then it just does another one, and you'll be able to see the different language that it uses, where it's saying, we need your help, we need this and that. So it's just going through a different style or tone. You can use any descriptors you want. In fact, if you've written some emails already, or you like the style of someone who is in your industry, you can actually paste into one of these chats. You can say, write it in the style of this email or this blog post, and you can send it there, and Bertha, or the AI that you're using, will be able to then replicate that. I said, let's try a third one, just so I can give you guys another example here. How about a more informal version that's fun and exciting? Don't be afraid to use some emojis. So you can even take it to that level, depending again on your cause, on who you're talking to. And so look, here we go. We've got a rocket emoji because we're launching our mobile health clinic. We're going to have, the mobile health clinic, they got a little van on there. It's going to use the raised hands emoji. It's looking, giving specific things about what each dollar amount could buy. So hopefully you guys are getting the sense of this. Obviously, here's Maria again. Hopefully you're seeing the power in this. And this is just one simple thing. And I want you guys to be able to take this and use it. Go try this out. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but it's usually pretty inexpensive, if not free, to use a lot of this stuff. And if you scan this QR code, this will take you to a page where you can rewatch this video. It doesn't have my audio to it. There's no audio on the video. So you can, you'll see the video, and then it also has a step-by-step list of instructions if that's better for your learning style, that will show you all of the things I did right in there, and it will have the text there if you wanted to just copy and paste some of it for your own use case. So the other thing is, if you do sign up for Bertha, if it is on your account or not, then you get the first month for free if you use code 48 and 48, if you sign up for your own personal account of Bertha AI, which can be used either right inside your WordPress dashboard, like I just showed you, or as a Chrome extension. So that's me, you guys. Oh man, 15 minutes, 20 seconds. I went a tiny bit over, but I'm pretty impressed because I'm a little bit chatty. So don't forget, focuswp.co is my business. If you wanted to just check a little bit more about me, Bertha AI, of course, where you can use your code. And if you want to go sign up for the sizzle.ai, that's my newsletter and podcast coming soon, hopefully within the next week or so. So anyway, that's me. Do we have any
We do have a question
questions?
in the chat for you, Stephanie.
Sure.
Rosangela says, can you run into copyright issues when using AI to write or edit content?
You cannot, whether you are using it for imagery or content, any of those kind of things, because an AI is a machine, not a person. The content generated by an AI cannot be copywritten because a copyright, according to US copyright laws, and I don't know if, I guess these are all US businesses here, but you need to be, you need to have personhood in order to qualify for a copyright. So you are safe. Were there any other questions?
No, I think that was it in the chat. Thank you so much, all of you, for helping out. Let me get Erin here in the spotlight to here we go.
I have a question. Erin,
Oh.
did we find the cat?
We did.
Oh,
I
thank
had to go
goodness.
find my cat during this presentation. I was like, back and forth.
Well, let's let the attendees in on that. There was a small thing going on in the panelist chat where Erin's cat escaped, and that was our little blip at the beginning where I was waiting for Erin to come back on camera.
You know what?
Found
My
the
cat has
cat.
learned how to open the back door, so that's good. But yes, I did. Thank you guys so much. All four of you. I believe Sequoia had to drop off, but all of you for giving these presentations. Like Stephanie said, y'all heard some amazing presentations today. These are great materials. I know that 15 minutes is not enough to cover all of these, but we really just want to give you guys a foundation and then an introduction to some of the skills that we know you're going to need as you take your website forward. So we hope it's been helpful. This session is recorded. It's going to be posted on our YouTube, and we'll send it all out to you guys. Feel free to reach out to us or to the speakers if you have any questions.
All right. Vera is asking, we actually have a question in the chat before we wrap up. What about images that contain logos of a company? And Amber did answer that that would be a trademark violation potentially.
It would potentially, if you're asking this in the context of AI, I'm not exactly sure, because if you said like, create me an image that uses the McDonald's logo, for example, for starters, it probably wouldn't be able to do it yet. Like the image I didn't even go into image generation today because it's really, it's a lot more complicated and it takes a lot more practice. The text writing stuff you can do like now, today. Go try it. Go do what I said, and you will get something that is useful that you can edit the words of to polish it up a little bit. But if you're trying to generate something that is somebody else's logo, then yeah, that's going to violate their copyright. If you take something that already exists, you have to modify it a certain amount in order to release the copyright of that image, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's a
or it needs
very
to, I don't
super.
know if they can see me or not, but I was gonna say
Yeah.
on trademarks, I learned a lot about this when we trademarked art. If it's a parody, right? Like you see versions of the Starbucks logo where they're slightly modified, or like if it's McDonald's and it's put into some other scenario, but it's the exact logo, but it's used as a parody, then usually that's not a trademark violation. But if you were like trying to say that like McDonald's supports my nonprofit,
Right.
then that would definitely be a trademark violation, and you might
Unless
get
they do.
accused.
Unless you have permission, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they do and they have permission, right? Like then it'd be one thing, but if they don't, then you might be in trouble. I just don't generate images with logos of known companies. You're probably good.
Is that it then? I mean, Amber and I could talk all day. I know that for a fact because we've done it before. But I guess that's it. Erin, I don't know what happens now.
I think we'll have to close this off. I appreciate all of you guys being here, and
Thanks, guys. Oh, there's Michelle. See you later, guys.
Have a great one.